Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon Live. Especially them because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
My kids empowered me to get out.
What's going on with this remote learning in the midst of COVID?
Working for different elected officials, learning and understanding how to put the community first.
Hi, welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I want to thank my co-host for joining me, Dr. Vanessa DeDanzing. How are you?
Welcome. I am great, Lottie. I'm so excited for the weather keeps changing. I'm not sure. I just don't know. I gotta find some sun.
Every time I turn around, you in the sun someplace. So I don't know what be going on with you.
It's definitely cold here. It's cold here in Atlanta. So
well, anyway, you're gonna get some sunlight tonight because we have two special guests coming on to talk about their program that's changing young people's life, because there's a lot of things going on now with our young people being incarcerated, or we want to try to prevent them from getting into that situation and how to help them when they come out of that situation. And our special guest tonight he's going to do that because of things that have happened in his life that he'll share with us at some point. So you want to introduce our guest for tonight?
Absolutely. Our special guest tonight works in collaboration at the Home of Crime Prevention and Life Skills Speakers and Workshop, Inc. They work with underserved populations, including youth at risk, offenders of all ages, former and active gang members, senior citizens, and the LGBTQ community by providing services to help them make their lives safer and more fulfilling. Their organization actually teaches them that every person has the right to be treated with basic human decency and be free of unwanted abuse. So let's welcome my guests tonight, Mr. Kenneth Gilmore Jr. and Ms. Barbara Kavanaugh. Welcome.
Hello there, Mr. Kenneth Gilmore. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. Is Ms. Barbara Kavanaugh going to be able to come on? Maybe she won't be able to join us tonight. Hello there, Ms. Barbara. How are you?
Hello.
Can you hear us, Ms. Barbara? Oh, okay then. So we seem to be having some technical difficulties with her. So we'll get that fixed and see what we can do about it later. So right now we'll talk to Mr. Gilmore. She can come back later when we get that straightened out. So Kenneth, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for asking. I'm pretty good.
How you doing? I'm just so excited to have you on tonight to talk about your great program that you have. And so briefly, before we get too deep in it, just tell us how all of this came about that you decided to start this program.
Well, for one, I have a checkered past. I've been incarcerated for 31 years. Prior to being incarcerated, I was born and raised in a dysfunctional family. And those things affected me and impacted me so negatively that I took that behavior to the street. And I wound up hurting a lot of people and getting involved in drugs and prospering in that field. But the bottom line was that wasn't who I was. And I wanted to change other young people's lives because it took me 31 years to get myself together. And I didn't want anyone else to waste their life or to hurt people in the process of being lost. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I wanted to help people. And it began in prison. Mm-hmm. I began to fight for my prisoners. I helped them with mental issues, health. You can't even imagine it. I mean, because the prison life is so different. It's hard to really give you a true picture of it. So that made me do something different inside there, which I ultimately brought outside. Mm-hmm. And bringing it up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
And what happened was when I started out here, I began to do workshops for the Board of Education and the police department. And they introduced me to a new program, which was a second chance program in Queens. And it was an amazing program. It gave me an opportunity to work with the kids. And the kids, they were arrested for first time offenses. And we connected. We connected in such a way that it changed their lives. Mm-hmm. It really changed their lives. I've done workshops with them that we're I broke out in tears because of the connection was so strong between the two of us, and it was a lot.
So now, when you do the workshops with the young people or older people or whoever shows up at the workshop, what kind of response do you be getting when they're there doing the workshop? Do they interact to really open up and like talk to you? So this way you can share your story to let them know that this is not the way to go.
Yes, what happens is I start my presentation with my life story. And when they see that we're so similar in nature, that they be like, wow. And then I try to make it where it's a safe communication where I'm easy to talk to, and I allow them to get involved in it because it makes the workshop for me so much better because they give me their input. They have a lot of questions. And then to see that they're getting love from someone who they be amazed at their background, it turns out to be quite different. I've had adults say things to me that I couldn't even believe or imagine in terms of complimenting me. And the kids come up and say, man, let me just hug you. Or I really appreciate this. So the involvement is a give and take. I just don't want to present and keep talking. I want to engage them. And I've been able to do that. Yeah, this because you want to hear what they're going through.
Right.
And that's so important to me. Yeah, that's so important to me.
Right. And sometimes, some of the individuals, when they get locked up and incarcerated for any amount of time, they feel that there's no hope. So do you have any resistance for individuals either volunteering for the program or the program has been recommended to them? What kind of hope factor do you give them? And has there been any resistance?
No, I've yet to have any resistance. And the hope is I want them to understand is that you could live a better life. See, crime is instant gratification. Crime comes from the fact of poverty, and it also comes from the fact that we lack love. We think we lack love. So our self-esteem is pretty low. And I address those issues by saying, we care about you. Your parents care about you. I teach them and talk to them about abandonment. When we make poor choices, we're abandoning our family. And I want them to also know that their families is going through a lot of pain that they're experiencing as a result of our poor choices, not to mention the victims of our crimes. So it'd be a lot. And you would be surprised how many people don't stop to think about these things because they're just reactionary. They see things, they just want to do it.
Absolutely. So Kenneth, when you just said that you said, Ms. Cole, we are lacking love, or because we think we love. Cause just like somebody like me, I think I'm loved, but then maybe I may find out I'm not loved or whatever. Is this cause people? When you say it's instant gratification, I know sometimes instant gratification means like if they want to make money right away. This is a good way to get money. So I'm gonna sell some drugs. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. So how, like when that happened to you back in the day and stuff like that, was that because you just wanted instant gratification, or do you think you was lacking attention and love?
I was lacking attention and love, and more importantly, and to the point, I was a damn fool. And let me tell you why, Miss Lottie. I didn't have to rob nobody. I didn't have to sell drugs. At 8 years old, I was walking around with Persian lamb coats, gaiters. My parents made sure I had everything. Spoiled me to death. So there was no reason for me to do this. But when I looked out my window, I didn't see doctors and lawyers. I seen hustlers. I seen murderers. I seen prostitutes because I was born and raised in Fort Greene Projects. And when we looked out the window, it was about people scrapping, getting their ends. So I got caught up in their influence. Plus, I was the youngest children of 5 of my siblings. And my father married my mother with 4 other kids. So there was a lot of infighting there. And I was confused. I'm wondering why my brothers and sisters always picking on me, don't love me the way I love them. So there was a lot of anger, and my parents they didn't have the parenting skills that we have today. My father was born 1909. My mother was born 1927. So all they knew was to provide for us. They didn't know how to walk through all these core issues and say, listen, your little brother may be getting more now because we're more financially situated. We weren't in that position when we were raising y'all. So they couldn't articulate us through these minefields. And I was getting it. I was getting it from my oldest brother, my sisters, the people that I loved. So I took that anger to the street. And when I say I took it to the street, I took it to the street hard body.
But it's kind of strange that you said that, Kenny, about you know how the parenting is different now. Now I'm looking at, I thought the parenting was better back then because the kids listened more because the parents was much more stricter on them, and they were afraid of parents, where the kids today are not afraid of their parents.
In that regard, you are correct, because I knew. Listen, I'd be in the street and I say something out of my mouth slick or crazy. My mother take her high heel off and bust me right in my eye.
Exactly.
She didn't care where it was at. Like that little woman would get busy right there. Boy, you lost your mind, bam. So in that
you
regard,
be in a coma for 2 weeks.
Exactly. Right, in that regard. But I think what he's referring to in part is that now you have more services. They're more financially free. They're able to now do more for their family on a larger scale than before. When you not necessarily have like hand-me-down, you can provide individually, for each child. And that may have been the conflict or some of the challenges growing up. But in part of, I think that may be something that's done in every household. And as generations of time pass on, it become more and more accessible to things and resources.
And you know what? Let me just add to that point to say that today we have services that'll tell you how to walk. They teach the parent how to walk through those situations. They didn't have those back there in the 60s. They didn't have that. So, and there was no book on parenting. All they knew was that, listen, you do what I tell you to do, and that's it. You got food on the table, you got a roof over your head, I keep some clothes on your back. They thought they was doing a wonderful job, but it was more to it than that. Of course, do not misinterpret me. I'm not by no stretch of the imagination blaming my parents for my poor choices. I knew the difference between right and wrong. I chose to do wrong.
Right.
So dealing with the young people, Kenny, dealing with the young people now, what do you see really the real issue is here? Because I don't know, it seems like to me, maybe I'm wrong, it just seems like to me they're just out of control.
But
they don't have no respect for life. They don't have when I see the 15, 14-year-olds with guns shooting people, like, where did this come from that you would even be thinking about that? Okay, before you answer, we got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
If you're just joining us, our special guest today is Mr. Kenneth Gilmore. And before we went to break, Kenny, I was asking you about the young people today.
What happens?
Or that's just my imagination?
No, you know what happens? The sad reality is that we have children raising children. And today we stick our kids under a TV. And the TV is not like you and I. When we was growing up, you might not even see lingerie on those TVs. Now you have the internet, and these kids is learning stuff that's unimaginable. So the parents is in the club with them, wearing these short dresses, getting their nails done, and do all these other kind of crazy stuff, and forgetting about rearing and raising their child. Yeah. And the respect is not the same in the household. Mm-hmm. You'll see one of these kids tell their mother or father, shut the hell up. Who you think you're talking to? Well, I don't want to hear what you say. That's unheard of. I still today can't fathom that or understand it. But you have to correct that early.
And when you said that, Kenny, that
Definitely.
just reminded me when I was working. You know, I worked for the Board of Ed, right? So I had a 14-year-old to come into the office with his mother because he was acting up in school and she needed to get him in another school. So we sitting around the table and so we are talking. So she's telling me about his behavior and everything. And then he turns around and tell her to shut the F up. So I'm never lost for words, but I'm sitting there looking like, because I'm waiting for her to do something, because I thought he would have been picking his teeth up off the floor or lost one eye or something. And she's sitting there looking at me, talking about, Miss Shannon, you see how he talked to me.
Well, see, that's part of the problem. You know, too many parents trying to be their child's friend instead of being parents. And what happens, so when it gets to this string, they become fearful of the child. There's plenty of parents out there living in fear. A lot of these kids, when they have access to things outside that they're doing that's unethical, they're bringing money home, they're bringing food home, so they feel they're in charge. And sometimes these parents allow these kids to be in charge. They take money from them, they take things from them, they take gifts from them, no matter how wherever they get it from. And this is part of the problem. They lose their place as a parent.
Give you a quick short story. One time I'm on the bus. I park my car because I'm going to Manhattan and parking is so crazy. I take public transportation. One more way back, me and another friend of mine. I tell a young man, I said, pardon me, little bro, I'm getting off the next stop. Can I get past you? I wait. He stands there. I said, excuse me, sir, can I get past you? He tells me, if you ask me to get by me one more time, I'm going to spit in your face. I don't know. Listen, I don't know why he said that, because I said, listen, you better be able to fight, because if you even look like you're trying to draw up some saliva to spit in my face, I'm going to beat the living shit out. And did I wind up beating that boy? And the sad part about it, on the bus, people saying, yo, you're going to kill him. Because I used to box. They said, yo, you know what happened after that? His mother slid up on me and scratched me in the face. I said, miss, you got to be kidding me. You on a bus all this while, and all you had to do was interject. And I would have spoke directly to you and said, ma'am, I just want to get off the bus. But you need to teach your son how to be. But this is what we're talking about, the problem that you just referred to. Instead of her being scared of him, instead of saying, boy, shut up, you don't talk to your adults like that.
Well, obviously, she's not going to say that, but he's already controlling her at home. So if he's controlling her at home, he's not controlling her in the street.
Exactly.
So it's like, is either she going to get beat right then and there, or it's going to be a problem when she get home.
Exactly.
But you know what? She could have saved him a serious butt whipping.
No, she didn't believe it was going to be a serious butt whipping.
No,
because they looking.
She wanted you. Trust me, she wanted you to get him a good butt kicking. That's why she didn't say anything.
Yeah. And that makes sense too. And probably faked the move on me just to show her son, like, yeah,
exactly.
I'm with you.
This is what I'm saying. But she was probably scared to hit him herself. So that way, when somebody else did it, then that's probably why she haven't said anything. You know. But in the program, go ahead.
But in the groups, you know, I connect with the kids so much because I still got my pulse on what's going on today. And I haven't forgotten what it is to be a child, a teenager, a young adult. So we talk, and when we talk, you know, I give them real talk, real conversations. And that's what happened with the Second Chance program. Miss Barbara likes to refer to it as me having been the missing pieces. The community affairs officers brought me to her and said, yo, we have a dynamic speaker for you that can connect with the kids. She was very concerned because of my background, my history, my many years in prison, and she was afraid to connect me with the kids. But after the very first workshop and presentation, we stayed together for years.
But you know what I wanted to ask, I know there's a lot of programs, you deal with a lot of ex-offenders, correct? And
not always just ex-offenders, people that may think about veering, but yes, for the vast majority, yes.
Right, but sometimes everyone doesn't give them a second chance, right? So what happens, does your program collaborate with other agencies or organizations where they can get a job? Like, what does your program provide that allow them to be able to reconnect with the community? Get a job.
I have a lot of different groups that partner with me. And the only problem I'm having today is that I haven't gotten the proper funding to do everything. But they're already connected with me. Okay, as soon as you get ready, send the kids here. We'll send them through electrical classes. We do this, we do that. So I know that I can't tell a kid, put that gun down, get off the street, stop selling drugs, unless I have something else in place for them.
Exactly.
And one of the big things about my program is that we have a theater program where I have a director, a very, amazing young man that's going to teach them how to write film, do videos, teach them scripts. So when they come they finish our program, they'll have another life skill. Right. So yes, we do connect, and we know the importance of giving them something else to do, because we could teach them all day and then we send them back out there with nothing. They're going back to what they know.
Exactly.
And we can't afford that. I read an article today. A 14-year-old kid stabbed another 13-year-old kid and killed him.
Right.
They're getting younger and younger. They're getting younger and younger. And we have to invest and save these kids.
This is what I'm saying. See, that's what I was saying earlier about what are we going to do? What do we really need to do to help save some of these kids? Because it's like they don't have no respect for life at all. And that's just amazing that a young person would even be thinking about that so young. I don't understand the older ones, but I would understand an older person could have been here a little longer to get in an argument with someone or whatever. But when I was 15 and 16, I was still outside playing handball.
I understand you.
But you know what's so intriguing about the young ones? They're getting these resources and things that the parents cannot provide. These games, this money, these fancy clothes. They're snatching these kids from home. They're like, oh, this is your family now. And they don't
exactly
differentiate the reality of what is not.
Exactly.
And this is what's going on.
And that's a very good point. And that's why I tell you, I said sometimes it's not feeling loved. You walk out that door and you're just surrounded by all this negativity and come on, little homie, come on, little bro, let's go do this. And now you feel like you're a part of something.
Exactly.
Where in the house, it'd be a lot of chaos, the families arguing. I used to watch my father put his foot in my mother's behind and I'd be devastated. Because that's what I mean about when you're in dysfunctional families and not having the proper education for that or the training for that. So I took that behavior and that attitude in the street, and this is what these kids are doing. The answer to it for me, isolate them. When you can get them in the classroom, away from these guys, and they look you in the eye and I said, man, you're not even close to being tough as I am. You faking it, you haven't done half of what I did.
And they think that's the norm. They think that's the norm. The dysfunctionality is the norm.
But it is the norm for them.
Exactly.
It is the norm for them, doctor. Because I could go into a household and one of y'all be talking to me so nice and soft, and I be thinking you crazy. Because I'm accustomed to them. You ain't gonna never be nothing, and you're like your daddy, and that's the norm for them.
Right.
So when they get out there and then they want to belong. So that tells me that they want to be saved because they want to be a part of something that they think, but they go to the wrong people.
And once they get involved and get engaged, they can't get out. It's like
They
no
stuck.
return.
They stuck.
They get stuck.
They stuck.
But when you say they stuck, what you mean? Like, I've heard about when they get in gangs, it's hard to get out of a gang. They don't allow you out.
And some of them, they tell you got to go through punishment. While I was incarcerated, I knew a couple of kids, they wanted to get out. They seen we was doing different things. We was having just as much fun as they were, but we wasn't doing the foolishness. So, man, I'm going to quit this. I go right to the leader and say, yo, he's out of here. Yo, but I said, look, we're not negotiating now. The brother want a better life. That's it. So
Kenny, why do you think, like, I hear some of them, just like one of my neighbors, he used to go back and forth to prison, back and forth. And I used to ask him all the time, don't you get tired of going to prison? And he said to me, no, because I go in there, I get 3 meals a day, I get pumped up, and I get health coverage, and it's like, it was nothing to him.
And because he runs in there and he see all his homies, it's a comfortable environment for him.
Exactly.
He don't have to work.
It's sad, but reality.
It's the reality. They don't have to come out here and work. Do you know it's hard out here to make it? And don't talk about being a felon. I still don't get the opportunities that I know I should get, but I do understand why I don't get them.
Exactly. And that was my point in question to you, is that how do you deal with kind of like the recidivism, right? Of the felonies that are the felons that are out there and coming out. They're typically much older, have put some time in and kind of vetted to the incarcerated system. But how do they now be able to repurpose themselves within the community that hasn't just not ready to accept them?
It begins with first loving yourself. See, my self-esteem is so high. I love myself. And and for me, you got to be a sucker, a damn fool to want to be in a cage.
Right.
I can't put it no other way. I think so much of myself and want so much for myself that a cage is not the answer for me. I don't want nobody trying to tell me when to go to the bathroom, when to eat, or what to do.
Exactly.
I did 31 years, and in 31 years, I was never locked up because I never let them get my mind.
Right.
Never locked up.
That's
and the police was so respectful of me, but hated me because I led by example to all the other guys. I was saying, man, you out there telling your woman, how tough you are and disrespecting your mama, but in here you're a little coward. The police is disrespecting you. I said, come on, man, what's this about? But when the officers would speak to me, good morning, Mr. Gilmore. I said, good morning, sir. How are you?
Well,
Just as polite. Go ahead.
Well, Kenny, we want to keep you around a little bit longer so we got a couple of more questions we need to ask you. But this segment of the show is coming to an end, and I want to thank you for coming on and staying this part of the show and talking to us. And we want to thank you for joining us today, the ones that was on. And remember, you can stay with us. And you can still see the show on Facebook or YouTube. You can stick around and see it on Facebook and YouTube. And remember, we also on Saturdays on Brick Arts Media every Saturday at 5:30 and Manhattan Neighborhood Network at 2:30. So you can see us every Saturday then. So thank you for joining us tonight. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for having me. Y'all have a wonderful day and thank you.
You too.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Would you like beautiful pictures for your home or your office? Then stop by Faith Art Gallery. They have a large selection of pictures from around the world.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. It's Shannon. Keeping it real.
Hi, thanks for sticking around with us for our after show with our special guest, Mr. Kenneth Gilmore. Kenneth, before we went to break, I wanted to ask you another question about when you was incarcerated. How do you get that feeling back of, you said, how you felt about yourself. So even though you was locked up all of those years, it had to be hard to get back to have like high self-esteem, was it? Or it was not that hard?
Well, it wasn't for me because, as I told you, I never was locked up. I never gave them my mind. I was just I used to tell officers when they used to come play their little games like they do with everybody, I said, excuse me, this is a career for you. If you want to go home to your family, you better find somebody else to play with. I got to be here for a life sentence. So this is my home. You're not going to be picking on me or playing. I didn't come here to be abused. I came to do a sentence. Okay, Mr. Gilmore. I said, you're going to have to kill me. So they knew that my attitude was such that I was different. I differentiated myself from the other prisoners. They said, wow, this guy's something else. Let me give you another brief story about prison. I was destined for death in prison. And let me explain to you why. 1991, they diagnosed me for having hepatitis C with cirrhosis of the liver. Now, mind you, I came in the system 1976. So I was clean all those years. 1991, I went home in 2007, and they never told me I had hepatitis C with cirrhosis of the liver. Never treated me, never informed me. and just hoped that I had died.
Wow. What?
Listen, and if you look up my cases, Gilmore versus Pataki, I sued the governor, everybody. I said, what is going on here? What y'all doing?
Right.
But
What?
I wasn't the only one they did it to. Every one of us of color. I got the governor's letter that said, do not treat them because hepatitis C medicine is too expensive. So they intentionally and deliberately tried to kill us. But that ain't the worst of it. They sent me home to have relationships with my beautiful Black sisters without knowing that I was sick. So they sent me home to kill my Black community.
What? Oh, you for real?
I'm not surprised at that.
But listen to me. Look up Gilmore versus Pataki.
Right.
Look up John Doe versus Pataki. And you'll say, and would not let me win the case because I'm suing governors. I had 2 judges that said, oh, if you were sick, we would let you win this case. At the time, I was sick and I didn't even know it. But they knew it because they had my medical records.
Wow.
It's all documented, but I'm showing you what happens in these prisons.
Well, you know, that comes with a whole another conversation of institutionalized racism and structural racism and all these things. And people just think it's just the Tuskegee that's an issue and part of the historical component, but it's not. It's much more. It's much more cases out there that people that the government is attached to.
And you know what? I used that case. I said that was a controlled case.
Yes.
Ours wasn't. They were sending all of us home, and now we're coming out having unprotected sex. We're coming out all buffed up, looking good. We don't know. But my mind told me to go to the doctor and get a full examination, and that's how I found out.
That's how you found out.
First time, 2007. 1991, I was diagnosed. The medical records will show you with cirrhosis of the liver.
Right.
But God had a different plan for me.
He had a different plan for you. That's what I'm getting ready to say. He had another plan for you.
He's coming home, and I fought them tooth and nail, but never would win the case. It's all documented. It's all documented in the federal court.
So Kenneth, in the workshops, when you're doing the workshops with these young people, I mean, some of the girls is just as bad as the young men. Some of them is just as bad as the young men.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes when I look at them and they mouth, the stuff that be coming out of their mouth is just unbelievable. But when you are talking to them, like, what do you see really is missing? What do we as a race of people need to do? I mean, most people are scared of the young people. They don't want to say anything to them. You know, like if I see young males and they standing out there talking, they got their pants hanging down. You hear them talking about their girlfriends, calling them bitches and stuff. So you like sometimes I'll say something to them like, "Yeah, man, who you calling a bitch?" You know.
And you got to be careful with that.
I tell Lottie that all the time.
You got to be careful with that, Lottie.
No, but I'm just saying,
all the time.
I don't come at them now. I say to them, young man, you are too good looking to be talking like that. You shouldn't call your girlfriends them bitches because then you're talking about your own mother. I say your pants, put the pants up. You're handsome. You know, you look good and everything. You know,
be careful.
But they have never said that.
But you know the thing is, they may not see the goodness that you're saying of them, but they don't believe it.
And then call you the B word.
Exactly.
Mind your business.
They're only looking at the negative. What you like? You're talking to them. You're talking at them, right? They don't hear
down
you.
at them.
Oh, you're a handsome son. You're a young man, and they're not looking at that because see that's over their head. They're not accustomed to people looking at them as worthiness.
Exactly.
Well,
because they don't have that.
No, but what I'm saying is, I mean, you right about what you're saying, but one thing about it, I have never had none of them to get nasty with me or say anything nasty to me out of the way. Like when I was telling them about calling their girlfriend's name, they was like, "Well, miss, that's just the way we talk. We don't mean no harm or anything like that."
Yeah, but nowadays, you got to be careful.
And you got the girls. You got the girls that'll tell you in a minute, suck my, talking like they got a penis like us. Exactly. And you know what I tell the girls? I be saying something wrong with you because you be letting these dudes that don't love you use you, and you go to the penitentiary for them, and then they off with the next girl. They be like, yeah, you're right. I said, yeah, you know, come on, these women prisons is growing faster than the men's.
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah, but what I'm saying is, I mean, I know it's dangerous out there and all that, but like I'm saying is, if we don't say something to our young people, then how are they gonna know? I mean, they know what they're doing is not right. They know right from wrong. But what I'm saying is to say something encouraging to them. And I feel that as grown-ups, we need to say encouraging things to our young people.
I agree with you.
I'm always putting them down all the time and saying how bad they are. We know all of that. So let's say something positive to them and say something that would make them think.
You know,
like,
I agree with
when
you.
she said you know what I'm saying?
I agree with you, but it's so much fear out there. And now when you find the younger people attacking older people, the older generation, they're just trying to get from point A to point B, just trying to get home as safe as possible. It's so unpredictable out there that, you know, you don't want to get involved. If you see what goes on out there, it's always the innocent always get hurt, always the innocent always get killed, always the innocent who tries to intervene is the one who loses out. And sometimes,
but you know what?
Guess that.
You know what, Doc? That's why we got to have more programs for them, more things for them to do, to fill their time. When you asked about the jobs and the trade program, we got to have things that these kids can see that, you know, oh, I could go here, I could do this. Oh, they taking us on a bowling trip. They taking us here, you know, this, that, and the third, where they can see that it's okay to have fun, you know, to be a child, as opposed to coming out thinking you're a gangster with your pants hanging off your butt. It just don't make sense. But you're right, we have to say something, because if we don't say something, it don't get corrected.
But that's my point. I mean, I know everybody. I know we all scared. Everybody's scared to say something to the young people. But sometimes maybe they just need a word of encouragement. Because even when they come into the program, even if they come into your program, I'm sure they come with an attitude. They're not going to listen to you when they come. But when they get there and hear you talking, then it becomes a different story.
Miss Lottie, you know what happens? I have posters. My poster says, I served 31 years. It said I went to prison for killing a deputy mayor. These people look, they be like, oh, this. I tell them in the group, I say, listen, bro, while you're in the group, you're going to listen to what I got to say, because I'm listening to what you got to say. We're going to respect each other. I said, then it tells me that you don't have too much sense, because I just told you I killed a bunch of people, and now you want to play with me in the classroom? I straighten them right out. They be like, oh, wow, okay. I said, yeah, so show me you can think a little bit. Just for the hour or two I got you, let's interact and be okay with each other. And I guarantee you, you're going to like the workshop. So I captivate them immediately, and I dominate them immediately. Right. I'm not going to be in no classroom with you and you disrespecting me and we face to face. I don't let nobody do that.
But Kenny, that's what I'm talking about. See, just what you just said, you letting them know about discipline. How to be disciplined and that how to accept being disciplined, because that's a lot of the problem. Our kids are not disciplined like they should be, and said things to them and give them little threats or whatever, sometime or whatever, or something like that. They're not accustomed to that, and kids want you to discipline them. I found that out. Kids want you to discipline,
but they're so embedded with hate. But they're so embedded with hate.
I know they're embedded with hate, but what I'm saying is,
but they can't come out here long enough to even hear what you're saying up here.
But you start somewhere. You start somewhere talking to them, telling them that it's not necessary for you to walk around with all that anger in you. It's just,
right.
I'm not even talking about the young people. I'm talking about old people too who walk around with all this anger in them.
Which brings you to my program. Anger management and conflict resolution. I let them know where the anger is coming from. Some people don't even know the origin of it.
Absolutely.
Mine was from a child. Mine was from a child. So I had all these core issues all my life until I became to educate myself and got classes that was able to help me put my finger on it. Now I can deal with the core issues. So this is what my classes are about. I said, you know, I tell them about anger. I tell them about the different levels of it, how we can resolve it. I tell them that, you know, you're not a punk when you walk away from a situation. Sometimes you have to walk away.
Right.
You know, I mean, it don't make you a lesser person. So when we break it down, and because I have their attention, they listen, and we haven't had a problem with a kid yet. And I don't mean in the classroom. I'm talking about after they left the classroom, completed our programs. And the thing that me and Miss Barbara made the mistake of doing, we never took pictures. We never kept a record on these kids. I had judges, district attorneys come to the graduation and say, we want to meet you. Okay, my name is Kenneth Gilmore. How are you? They said, you know why we want to meet you? I said, no. They said, because every time we ask these kids at the end of the groups, what class was the most important class? They said it was your class.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because you was real with them and you
There you
disciplinated
go.
them and
There
you
you
let
go.
them know that you were not there to
There
take
you
no
go.
nonsense. I'm telling you, kids want to
There
be
you go.
disciplined.
There you
They
go.
want to be disciplined, but
There
we
you
think they don't. They do.
They do. They
They
do.
Because
do,
you
but
know
it's
what?
sometimes-
Discipline also shows love, that you love them.
Bingo. Bingo.
You know what I'm saying?
Bingo.
Discipline shows that you love them.
And you hear me say I used to break down crying because it was soul searching for me. And then to see these kids and knowing these kids is just this far away from ruining their lives or somebody else's life. And the kids seeing, they say, wow, this guy really cares about us.
Exactly.
I said, man, I'm not here wasting my time just to be talking to you. I'm doing this because I want to make a difference.
Exactly.
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 So they felt that. And I'm telling you, they would come up and see me cry. They said, man, let me give you a hug, man. You're going to be okay. Thank you so much. And I think I posted one letter on the website that one young man wrote, and that was just a month ago. But I didn't do that with all the other groups I had because I would have volumes of documentation.
Right.
I didn't know about this evidence-based theory now.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
See, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
I had one woman say, you know, you're amazing. I said, well, thank you so much. She said, no, you don't understand. My husband don't listen to nobody, but my husband's in here listening to you. And
You have that kind of impact.
Listen to me. On everything I love, I've had one person say, God sent you. My programs, I speak from my heart, from my gut. And I don't want nobody to make the mistakes that I made. I became judge, jury, and everything else. And I didn't have the right to do that. I took somebody's father or parents away from them where they couldn't even see their grandkids my crimes went from A to Z because I also was a major drug dealer. So somebody went to commit burglaries, some women went to sell their bodies, all kind. I embrace all that today. And still today, it pains me to see what kind of terrible, ugly mother so-and-so I was. And I didn't have to be that. I shouldn't have been that. So I fight hard to reach to these groups to save these kids, to save even the adults.
But but Kenny, that's the most important thing is what you just said is that even though you did those things, but God still had the plan, because for you to last that long in prison, that's a long time to last in prison, and to come out and now you have changed doing something to help the people and the young people, regardless of who it is, then that goes to show you he had his hands on you. But
yes,
now
he did.
He know that you could do better. He knows.
Yes, he did.
He know he brought you here to do better. You just took a detour.
Miss Lottie, I've been kicked out of every prison in New York State.
You know.
Now you ask yourself how you get kicked out of prison. I got kicked out of every prison in New York State. We don't want them. Transfer them all around the state. I did 18 extra years in prison for fighting for other prisoners. Every time I went to the parole board, they said, no, denied. My first parole board was 1991, 93, 95, 97, 99, 01, 03, 05, 07. I finally got released because I had to go hire a lawyer to get out. But they was intent on me dying, but God had a different plan for me.
Yeah,
and I tip my hand, and I love him so much for it because it's good work. It's good work, and I know I'm totally.
But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good because you see the passion in you and what you want to do. Because when you have that passion, can't nobody take that away from you, because you got to have passion for what you love. And so I'm thankful that you are here. And I want to thank you for sticking around and talking to us some more on the show. And hopefully you'll come back again and talk to us again so we can learn some more stuff. And you can make that, by that time, you'll be touched many more lives of young people, old people, whoever wants to listen. Absolutely. That's the problem, is who wants to listen. It's not so much just the young people, because we got them in all
we got old fools,
category that need to be told. So you got a lot of work to do, Kenny. You got a lot of work to do. But Kenny, you know what? You are back. You're doing good. You getting ready now, go into doing film, and you're gonna do something with the NBA, because we're gonna do something with Ja Morant. How you say his name?
Jay Morant.
Jay Morant.
And I don't know if you know that, Doctor. I wrote a letter to the NBA commissioner telling them that we could save some of them kids.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We need to get to him so we can save him. I don't know what his problem is, but we got to save him.
Yeah, because you know what? They look at him like a product, and that's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I'm saying, but they're not listening to y'all. Mm-hmm. I'm that guy. I'm that guy. Get me and my team of us in there, and we could do something, you know. So my vision is way out there because it's from God.
Yeah, as it should.
It's gonna happen. That's why I'm not worried about it. We happy because it's already been manifested. I told you that. Yep. It's already been manifested.
Write the vision and make it plain.
He don't make no mistakes. He doesn't make any mistakes. He knows exactly what he's doing, what time for it to happen, when it's gonna happen, and where it's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
So we're not worried about it because you're gonna come back on. By the time you come back on, you already got the contract with the NBA, and I'm gonna be right there on the side picking out which one of them that I want to talk to.
You know, listen, you wherever I go,
I think we just lost him that quick. But,
so look, we want to thank y'all for joining us today. And like I said, Mr. Kenneth Gilmore, look, we love you. We know it's gonna be, and like I said, I'm gonna be right there on the bench looking. Even Joel, what's his name, Morant again? Right. I'll be talking to him if necessary, whatever. I'm gonna talk to his mother to get him in order because we got to save him. We definitely got to save him. So thank you, Dr. Vanessa, for joining us, and have a safe trip back home. Yes. And as always, we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.
Goodbye.